Hello, I'm Jim Beute. I'm one of the hard lug guys, and this is my take on what will soon be the U.S. Navy's newest aircraft carrier, the John F. Kennedy. It's being built right now in the shipyard down in the Hampton Roads where our lug's at, and the folks at the Naval Museum asked me to build it for them, so I built it for them. It took me about 3 months to build it. I have no idea how many pieces, maybe 10, maybe 15,000, but that's just a guess, and a lot of fun.
I see you have lots of these airplanes. Can you tell us how you made those?
Sure. Well, slowly and by trial and error. And in fact, to decide the scale for the aircraft carrier, I always start with the airplanes first. I got to build an airplane that looks about right, and then I can scale the boat to it. I don't want to start with a boat and then get backed into the wrong scale. But the airplanes, I've got a Flickr page. It's just Jim Beute on Flickr, and I'll post up some exploded views. I'm not smart enough to make instructions, but it'll show you how to make each of these. But I had to make the Super Hornets, or the primary fighters we got. I had to have one with the wings down to fly, and then one with the wings folded up, and then the new Lightnings, which are the new the Joint Strike Fighter that are coming into the fleet. And then I've got a MH-60 helicopter. There's an E-2 Hawkeye back there, and a couple of little unmanned aerial vehicle drones up here as well.
Very cool. I see below of the planes, I see lots of little guys over there, some vehicles. How did you make that, and what are those? Who are them? Who are they, and what are they doing?
Yep, sure. So at this scale, a minifigure is about 4 studs tall. So what I did is I took the bottom 2 studs, and those are the dark gray and blue. That's the old blueberry utility uniform that the sailors use. And on the flight deck of a carrier, everybody's got a different color shirt depending on the job they do. So the guys with the little red jerseys on, those are the guys working armaments. So they're rearming these planes, and they're sitting up here by these little elevators, and they're putting the bombs back on the wings of the airplanes to take them out. The guys with the purple, those are they call them the grapes, but they're refuelers. They're the guys that are refueling the aircraft. Guys in yellow are they call them shooters. They're the guys that are launching the aircraft. Guys with white they're the safety observers. Blue are plane captains. They're responsible for moving the planes around. And actually browns are the plane captains as well. One's the assistant, one's the actual plane captain. Who else? I think that's about it. Green guys are the guys that deal with the launch and recovery equipment that comes of it. So everybody on the flight deck, there's a whole bunch of moving pieces, and everybody's got a different job to do, and you can very quickly look at a person and see what their color shirt is, and you know what their job is and where they're supposed to be. It might be more than you wanted, but there you go.
I see. For these little guys over here, what are these little binocular pieces? What are they supposed to resemble?
That is my first attempt, and at this scale you got to make some compromises. So these yellow rectangles are the advanced weapons elevators. So down below there's the magazine where they keep the bombs and the missiles, and they'll bring those up onto the flight deck at the top of these elevators. There's little carts, and that's supposed to be a cart with a couple of bombs or missiles on them, and so those are right there where those guys in the red shirts will be rearming the aircraft.
I see below, that's an elevator.
Mm-hmm.
So below the top part of the
the flight deck, yeah.
What's under?
So underneath it on U.S. Navy carriers, we've got the hangar bay, and again, the U.S. Navy has big hangars, and that's a big cavernous space, and you can look in there. I put some lights in, and for every hour that an airplane spends flying, you need to spend a lot of hours doing preventive maintenance and sometimes corrective maintenance. And that hangar is a relatively sheltered, warm, dry place where those aircraft maintainers can do the work on the airplanes that's out of the way of the flight deck. Because when the flight deck's running, there's too many people moving everywhere. You can't have somebody doing maintenance on an airplane up there and getting in the way. So that's the hangar.
I see. Next to the hangar, what are these boxes over here?
Well, there's lots of little openings, and again, with an aircraft carrier, everything's about the flight deck. So, okay, the flight deck must not be disturbed, but then around and below the flight deck, you put all sorts of other little openings to do all the stuff that a ship needs. So this might be a platform where you can access the ship. When you pull into port, they would put the brow over there so you can come on. They would usually do it, into the big door here. But lots of little openings, so like, you can drop small boats in the water if you need to run your boats, or sponsons to put weapons and sensors and things like that on. So just places to put things that don't interfere with the flight deck is what all that stuff is.
I see. Can you tell us a little bit more about this part of the ship?
That's called the island or the superstructure. It's the one part that sticks up off above the flight deck. This is a new class. This is the second ship of the Ford class. In the older carriers, it was a bigger island and it was farther forward. They made it smaller and moved it farther back to make the flight deck a little easier. But that's the place where you've got to be if your job requires you to have eyeballs on the horizon and see what's around you. That's where you get to go. So the bridge is up there, and the Admiral's bridge is up there, and there's also a spot where they can keep an eye on the flight deck and manage their operations. And then, as you can also see, any place you need to stick an antenna, whether it's a communications antenna or a radar to see around you, that's a handy spot to put all your antennas, because you don't want to mess with the flight deck. And that's what they do up there in the island.
Nice. Very cool, Mark. Would you like to tell anything else about this?
No, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy building big ships, and the folks at the museum asked me to do it. I get to show it off down in Hampton Roads where they're building this, and I tell people, this is just a plastic model. There's guys at the shipyard that are actually building the no-fooling, floating city out of steel with all the stuff that it's got to have. That's the real achievement. This is just a fun plastic model.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, cheers. Thank you.